Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We have got Bear in the garage today. We're gonna go ahead and get him running, hopefully. I think we'll be okay. First things first, engine wiring harness. Yeah, this is his original harness, but I have gone through every circuit, every wire. We're checking for continuity. We're checking the insulation on the wires. Everything looks good. I did fix a couple things because somebody had Mickey Moused some stuff into it, but repairs have been made and it looks pretty good. So we're gonna go ahead and install this first and we'll move on to the other stuff. Okay, we've got our engine wiring harness laid out on the floor. It's kind of best to familiarize yourself with this if you haven't been at it for a little while, kind of like me. We've got the big junction block there that plugs into the firewall, and this harness runs over, and this hits your left headlamp area, right headlamp area. Right here in dead center, we have distributor stuff. Looks like idle motor for the carb, oil pressure switch. And then over here, we have alternator, and this stuff here is going to go down to the starter. So we're going to start at one end, and we're just going to work our way around, and hopefully this all goes smoothly. Probably going to run into some roadblocks, might have to unbolt some things to run harnesses, we'll see. But we got a game plan. Now, what really helps in situations like this is if you've taken a lot of pictures before you took everything apart, like I did. Obviously, we have video too, so that definitely helps. So what I hold in my hand here is the fuse box, and obviously this is on the interior of the car and a lot of dash harness, right? I got to go through this still, to be honest with you. But for temporary purposes, we're going to plug it in. We're going to run our wires to the ignition switch. That way, we can just crank the car that way. But this has to be screwed in from the inside. It's going to come through this square hole, and then we'll be able to plug our junction block connector right in for the engine. So I'm going to go ahead and bolt this guy in. Okay, we got our connection here at the box. Got a this happens to be a brown or tan wire. This goes to the proportioning valve right here on the brake assembly. This is just an easy plug in. I'm going to leave all the labels on for now until final assembly is done. Okay, moving over. Now, this harness is going to attached to the inner fender well at some point, so it's just going to kind of be hanging out here in space for the time being. We have, let's see, left headlamp, real easy. Plug this guy in. Now what we have is a little ground wire here, comes off of the headlamp connector, and right here is it's like a 3/8 bolt screw. We go right to that guy. Make sure you have a nice clean connection. You know, this terminal is clean, the bolt's clean, and where it bolts to the rad support, you want to make sure that is clean as well. If not, you can end up with turn signal problems and headlight issues. One's brighter than the other. This one here is a side marker. Obviously the fender's not on, I'm not going to hook that up. This little harness here goes to the horns. Now, I believe one horn is in this fender somewhere, and then this wire has to go over that way to that horn assembly. Okay, a little tedious, had to remove a few things. Remove the charcoal canister here from the inside of the rad support so I could get the connector for the left parking lamp through, because this guy's in the way. There's a couple bolts, so that's there. And then our main harness runs right up underneath the rad support. And there's little wiring harness retainers. I don't know if you can see this, guys. It looks kind of like this. It's got a round thing, clamps around the harness, and it's got a little prong deal on the top. Basically, there's 3 holes here. There's one here, and one here. You're gonna wanna go ahead and wrap that around your convoluted tubing in that area, and then it pushes through. It's kind of difficult to put on camera because everything's black and I gotta stick my hands under here. And you pull it through these little holes. That gets us to this side where we have, we're just running parking lamp. We got a side marker, and we have another headlamp connector along with that little grounding terminal. So again, make sure those terminals are clean. And to route this, again, I had to take this top piece off. We'll go ahead and put that all back together. I think we're done in this area. But yeah, just in case you guys want to know. Okay, as far as the cables go, for the battery, we have the negative side from the battery to this top alternator bracket. There's a spot here where you bolt right to it. Just about 18 inches of wire, that's it. The positive side, that runs from here down to the starter. We went ahead and replaced this entire cable because the original one was it was trash. And just to give ourselves a little added protection, I bought this sheeting. It's made by DEI. They make some great products if you guys haven't ever heard of them, but the sheeting just fit right over top of it. And yeah, it's about a $50 purchase between the two of these guys, but it was well worth it. It's gonna last forever. So we're hooked up, we're charged up. Let's turn the key and see what happens. Not a good sign. Turning the key, nothing's happening. All right, let me double check my work and I'll get right back with you. Okay guys, it looks like the starter didn't make it through its restoration. I probably should have checked that guide before I bolted it in. It's not too bad to replace, but probably the best thing to do is just to put a brand new starter in bare anyways. That way we don't have to worry about it years down the road. I know it's a starter because I went and checked all my connections. I checked the voltages with the key in the on start position, and everything's down there. It's just not turning. I can show you guys. I took a test light. See, it's sitting over there on the cowl. I've got one end connected to engine ground. I've got the other to the solenoid wire. I reach in here, I turn the key, and there's our 12 volts to the solenoid that should be turning the starter motor, and it is not. So yeah, sucks. You're gonna have that when you do these kind of projects though, I guess. What we're gonna do is we're gonna press on. We have other things to do today. I will pick up a starter and we'll come back another day, maybe tomorrow. We'll throw it in and get this guy rotating. So onward. Okay, up next, guys, we got cooling system. Got some rad hoses, heater hoses. We're gonna cut these to fit, and should be pretty straightforward. Let's install this lower one first, and we'll get to the upper one in a second. All right, I've got the lower rad hose. You guys want a Napa part number for a lower rad hose for one of these 4th Gen Novas? 7656. 7656. Kind of easy to figure out. One end is bigger than the other. Big end goes to the water pump, small end to the rad. Okay, upper rad hose is a 75-75. That goes from thermostat housing to the top of the rad here. All right, we're moving on to heater hoses, guys. This is just bulk stuff. One hose is 3/4 inch, the other is 5/8. I had to make a little cheat sheet here so I remember what I'm doing, because Bear didn't have heater hoses on them when we got them. They were all blocked off because the heater core was busted up. So we have a port here at the intake, that's 5/8, and then a port on the water pump, that's a 3/4 inch. So I think what we'll do is we'll route the bottom one first, yeah, and then we'll do the top one. Now you're gonna have to imagine, if you will, that there's an inner fender here, because I believe these two lines come up and they're secured at the inner fender, so we'll have to leave a little bit of slop here, and then they wrap around to where they would connect. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the smaller of the two, or the bottom one. It's a 5/8, just plugs down here. If you've got an air conditioned vehicle, it'll be down here. And then we're gonna go from there up around and right onto the intake. Nice and tight. Okay, I think I know how I want to do this. I've already measured kind of where I need to cut. Got these handy dandy cutters. There we go. A little bit extra, save that. Now, I didn't really find a really good picture of how this is routed, but I'm going to go straight over the top, just like so. I figure we're connected here on the inner fender. When we push on, let's not forget our clamp. Push on right there. I think that'll be pretty good. If I put it underneath and through some of these other lines, everything kind of binds up and it gets a little kinky, so we just want a nice smooth transition right into the intake. So go ahead and tighten this guy up. Got our 3/4 inch line. We're going to hook right here. Now, are they on top of each other, or are they side by side? I think they're going to be on top of each other. So I'm going to go ahead, kind of mark my hose. Here's my cutters. Go. I think what I'll do for the time being is go ahead and zip tie these two guys together as one. That'll help them take a little bit of shape. That just keeps them from looking ugly for right now, right? Okay, our cooling system is complete, with the exception of the overflow bottle, which that we can wait till later for that guy. I'm gonna go ahead and fill it up with coolant. Now, this is one of the greatest little tools they've come up with in the last 20 years for mechanics. This is an airlift system. So what I can do is take the rad cap off, and it's got a little rubber fitting there. You can kind of wedge it on there. It's got a nice little gauge on top of here. Now I'm going to hook compressed air up to this, open a valve, and it's going to actually pull a vacuum on the cooling system. It's going to suck the air out of this. And once the needle goes from red to green, that means we're good. And you close this valve and it will hold that vacuum in the system. Now, if it leaks down, we have a leak somewhere. So hopefully we go green, it stays green. When it stays green, then I can throw this other valve and it will suck out of this big 5-gallon jug I have of brand new coolant. It'll suck the coolant right in there. No air pockets, no having to bleed it off or anything like that. Really a no-nonsense kind of tool. It's terrific. All right, hopefully you can see this gauge. We're down here in the red, no vacuum. You know, we're gonna go ahead and hook the compressed air to this guy. We're gonna open this valve. And we're gonna open the valve to the car. You can see that pulling a vacuum. Like I said, when we get to green, we'll be good to go. Let's go ahead and shut off the this valve here. It's going to isolate the vehicle. I could shut off my compressed air. I can actually disconnect that, get it out of the way. This system's under a vacuum right now. If I wanted to, I could just let this sit and make sure it holds vacuum. I can tell we're in good shape. That needle's not moving at all. So I'm gonna wheel over my cart here. I've got this long hose. It's gonna go into my jug of antifreeze. And then all we do is we open this valve, sucking the coolant right into the system. You can watch that needle go all the way down. It's filling up. I mean, that engine block was bone dry now, so it's gonna suck up a lot of coolant. That's it, guys. We are full. Okay, almost there, guys. Next is the wonderful spark plug wires. Very tedious, kind of a pain in the butt on these 70s cars with all these vacuum lines and hoses and wires everywhere, but I'm gonna do my best to route things neatly. I'm not gonna go into real depth on this. Service manual has all the information you need, plus, gosh, if I even say it, the internet. Be careful. Just know that firing order on Chevy is 184-36572, and it goes clockwise on the distributor. So I know that when I put this engine together, I put the rotor at number 1. I'm going to use this as number 1, and then I just kind of drew a diagram here. I'm going to work my way around this distributor, routing the wires. I've laid the wires themselves out on the bench from longest to shortest. That way I can kind of get this close to the way it was when it came from the factory. In the service manual, it'll actually show you how to route the wires. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and then we just have a few other things like fluids to check, and I think we can see if we can get this guy running. All right, guys, we have brake fluid. AC system's full, even though it doesn't need to be. Coolant is full. We need to fill the power steering and the transmission. Oil crankcase is full, so we're good there. So go ahead and add power steering fluid. Always a hiccup in the get along, guys. Our new starter, I got this one from Napa. This part number for this engine, this application would be 246-4795. What I'm gonna do is bench test it real quick. I tested this guy, the one I restored. Not a really great restoration there, huh? Didn't work. We're gonna take a jump box. We're gonna take the negative clamp. We're just gonna hook it to the starter ground. We're gonna take our positive clamp, go to the big lug up here. Okay, I'm just gonna take a pocket screwdriver. I'm gonna jump the big post to the small post that has an S above it. We are good. Now when I did that with the other one, didn't do it obviously, so that's why we're where we are right now. So I'm gonna put this in the car. Let's get them cranking. All right, I gotta run down to the gas station and get gas, but real quick, Sounds good. So, be right back. You know, as a technician, at this point, it's always nerve-wracking. Doesn't matter how many years you've been doing it. It's just, you know, anything can happen, or nothing. I think 5 gallons will do it. Now what I got down here on the frame rail, guys, is just a temporary filter, just because if we get any crud left over in that tank, we'll be able to pick it up in that filter. I'm gonna crank the engine over, and we're gonna make sure we get flow up to this point at least. Anything? Oh, I see stuff in there. That's good. Okay. Now keep in mind, guys, Bear does not have an exhaust on him yet. He just has the wide pipe. So if he decides to bark off and run, it's going to be loud. It's going to sound sweet though, right? Let's go ahead and crank it a little bit more. Okay, that's expected. We got some tuning to do, but we've got music, boy. Oops. Okay, so mission successful, kind of, yes. Engine's running, moves under his own power, stops under his own power. We just need to tweak that carburetor a little bit. I need to cap off a couple vacuum lines. That's why the high idle and stuff. So let me see what I can do there and see if we can get this guy to idle just a little smoother. Oh, and the smoke, don't worry about that. That's some things that were painted. It's burning itself in kind of deal. So not a big deal. No fires yet. Well, that's a load off of my shoulders. Bear is now running and driving and shifting and braking and steering on his own. Well, not on his own with me behind the wheel, but no more pushing him in and out of the garage with that little four-wheeler back there. That's pretty sweet. So we have got a lot of body work to do. And when I say we, I mean me. We're a year and a half into this. It's like November 3rd, I believe. We started this thing May of last year. So yeah, I was hoping for a 2-year turnaround. We're gonna keep on pressing and pushing. Yeah, so, you know, disclaimer, a lot of the bodywork episodes are not gonna be exciting, but stick with me, you may learn something. And till next time, you guys have a good one. One more time.